Hello everyone. Today is the 27th of March, Monday, 1:22 in the morning, UK time. Um, what we are going to be doing is looking at GBP, JPY and seeing exactly where we think price can go and how we can actually make some money off the moves this week. Um, Let's see. All right, cool. So on the weekly time frame, what can we see? We can clearly see we left a huge wick to the upside at 164. And ever since leaving that huge wick, we formed a lower high, lower high, lower high, lower lows, and lower lows with our weekly wicks. We can clearly see that momentum is to the downside right now. We can see price has always attracted itself into this area. Can we see something like this because the weekly is bullish? Potentially. Potentially, we can't rule that out. We have to be open to every idea that the market gives us. However, I think there's a higher probability of us coming back into this area around here. I see price potentially pulling back, giving us a wick to the upside. Maybe another huge wick to the upside up there, but I would favor it here. I will show you why on the smaller time frames, on the daily and the 4 hour. And I see price potentially coming into 157.500, rejecting and potentially ending up at 156 overall. Um, so yeah, as you can tell, I'm mainly looking for sells. Okay, so we can clearly see that on the daily time frame, we are rejecting this area right here, 159.500, which is a key psychological level. We can see that when price came into this area, we broke and capitalized off many great buys. As you can see on my last trade where I made last week, this week that just went, I made around £4,000 of trade in GBP, JPY. We actually took an entry here and we bought this up into here and we sold it down and sold it down again, and we absolutely murdered GBP JPY last week. So this week we're trying to not duplicate that. It's not about that. It's about focusing on what the market gives us this week. Everything that happened in the past is irrelevant. The market doesn't care. It doesn't care if I made 20% last week, 15% 2 weeks ago. It does not matter. The market is completely neutral. Some people are going to win. Some people are going to lose. We just want to be on the side of winning this week. So we're going to build up some confluences on this chart and see how we can capitalize on the moves. So, as we can see on the 4 hour time frame, we broke structure. We broke these three lows and we formed a lower low. We can clearly see we had drive number one, pullback. Drive number two, can we get another pullback for drive number three? And if we look at the size of these moves to the downside, we clearly see on the weekly why I am looking for sales. We can see that, what's the size of that move? Let's see. So we went from here to here. Let's duplicate and see, look, similar move. Can we get another? Maybe looking at the past move is the best one. We can see that move. Can we duplicate this and potentially get a similar one? Yeah, somewhere around this zone we can see a similar move happening. Maybe we need a bigger pullback this time. So you can take this approach. I am looking for price to retest this previous structural support area that we just recently broke, right? That's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for 4 hour rejections here, and we can potentially sell it down as our TP1 or TP2. You may want to take if you're an intraday trader, you may want to take a trade and sell it down into here. Then you may want to close your trade and see what happens. You may want to wait for a break and a retest of this area and look for another sell down into 157.500, which is our quarterly level. Why is this one of my zones? We can clearly see when price broke and retested this area, we had huge moves to the upside. We left huge wicks into this area before we pumped into 162. So we can clearly see this is a very sensitive area, and having take profits beyond this area is not necessary for me, especially if I'm entering up here. What I'm looking for, if I was to give you my outlook, I'm looking for sells around this area here, push down, break, retest. If we don't get the retest, maybe we just go straight into that area. If we get 4 hour rejection similar to this, I may buy this back up into this area here and sell it back down into 1 5, 6 as our overall weekly target. But I'm not going to get ahead of myself. We need to see exactly how GJ responds. If we don't get our 4-hour rejections here, we may want to come back into this area here and then fall. We could easily do that. So I'm very open to that idea too. I'm just open to selling either here or around here, depending on what happens. I'm not really looking for buys. You could wait for a retracement here and buy here, but I don't really want to be trading against my bias for this week. So we don't want to get too greedy. We just want to see what happens. That's Gbpjpy. In regards to gold, I have not done my weekly outlook for this, so let's do it together. We can clearly see on the weekly time frame that we are bullish. We can clearly see this huge momentum candle to the upside. If you look at the monthly, the reason I'm looking at the monthly, by the way, is because we are closing the month. There's only 4 days left of the month, so maybe we can actually see what can happen. Maybe if the monthly closes above this area or above 2000, we can see momentum continue to the upside in April. We can see that wicks there's no bodies around this area here. There's not a lot of bodies in this area, right? No bodies. So if we can even close midway, have a body closure midway of the zone above 2000, this gives us indication that this time, this month candle is different to the previous month candles. We've actually got more buying momentum for us to continue to the upside. So when we go on the weekly time frame, what can we see? If we go on the weekly time frame, we can be a bit more precise and see our key psychological level of 2000. 2000. When price came into 2000, what happened in the past? We had a huge bearish engulfing and we rolled over. We had a huge wick and we rolled over. But this time, what can we see? Price has rejected this area. Do I want to be selling right now? Not necessarily. Why? Because there's huge momentum. I would rather be looking for buys and pinpointing buy areas than predicting the sell tops. I don't like doing that too much. We need to see what happens. To be honest, with weekly, it's a bit indecisive, right? We don't know what's going to happen. Are we going to break 2000 potentially? Do we want to be buying at this area? Not really, because we're at highs. We're at key highs. I do believe that we're going to take out these wick highs of 2073.880. I believe we are going to take that out in the longer term, but we shall see. Potentially what we can see in the daily time frame is we see a double top. We saw a rejection of 2000, then we saw a double rejection of 2000 before rejecting, but we can still see we are bullish on the daily time frame. So I don't really want to be looking for sells. Maybe we can see price retrace into this structural area, or potentially form a double bottom in this area here and consolidate here for a while before price likes to decide to pump into the previous highs that we made in 2021, I believe. 2022, 2021. Okay, yeah. Let's see what happens. Gold, we can see gold potentially come down into this area here, potentially form a double top and consolidate in this area. If we break 2000, we can see price potentially push up into 2060, 2080 and taking out these highs here. That's just a quick hypothesis for everyone. GBP AUD, what can we see in GBP AUD? We can see that we're clearly bullish on the weekly time frame. 1.82. You can see when price came into this area, we rolled over, tapped, we broke this area, we retested, and we saw last time we retested this area, we pumped all the way into 192. So there's a chance that we could potentially go back into that area of 192. However, there may be some stall, there may be some blockages. What do I mean by that? We can clearly see that we are at a key area of 1.85. Yeah, we can clearly see, I don't like going too far back, but we can clearly see we're at a nice area where price can rebound off this area. So maybe if we get some 4-hour rejections, we can see price pull back and continue, break, retest, and pump all the way up into that area there. Do I really want to be selling? Not necessarily. Why? Daily is bullish, weekly see huge bullish momentum, 4-hour bullish, but we can see we're slowly starting to slow down. So we can potentially see some sort of pullbacks into this area. Ideally, I'd want to pull back into our previous structural area, which has not been tapped. There, see what happens, see if we get some rejections. If we do, we can look for continuations to the upside. Very simple, very straightforward. I hope this weekly outlook helps everyone, and thank you very much.